Now, let's see how you can add apps to make your course more interactive. So to do this, we'll add an app from your Graasp view, and here you can see that you can choose from two menus. The apps from Graasp are developed at EPFL, while the apps from GoLab Z are developed at the University of Twente for the GoLab project, so we'll come back to this in a moment. In this video, we'll explore a few apps from each library which are useful whatever your teaching disciplines. So let's start with the Graasp apps. So the first app I want to show is the Text Input app. And as its name says, the Text Input apps is a note-taking app. So you can ask a question. For instance, after the text of Pascal, I can ask, how do you feel about infinity? And I will directly see how it looks in my student view. So I make a refresh. So student can then enter an answer here. Pretty small. So in my teacher view, I should be able to see the answers of my students. They will all be listed here. The nice thing about this app is that I can directly send a feedback to my student. For instance, I can ask them to precise the answer. If I submit this feedback, then my student should see the feedback here. I make a refresh and I should see here the feedback of my teacher. Another Graasp app, which is very handy if you want to avoid many emails when asking students to submit files to you, is the File Drop app. So suppose we will go to the math phase, and after exploring simulations, you want students to make an Excel graph and submit this to you. So I will add an app from Graasp, and I will go to the File Drop app. So here I can simply ask, please drop your Excel graph here. And in my student view, I should see below playing the simulation that students can actually drop their files here. So it's as easy as this. They click on here and they will be able to select any file from their computer and submit it to you. Let's say it is screenshot. Here it is. So student can recover the file they submitted here or delete it. And you, in your teacher view, will be able to recover the files of all your students. Another fancy app that is useful when doing online teaching is to have here a sidebar with a live video. So you can video conf with your students. How to do that? So to add an app in the sidebar, you need to add it from the upper level. So I will add an app from Graasp and I will add the Zoom app. So I add it and I have it here. Now when I click here, the Zoom app requires a meeting ID, meaning that you have to program your video conference from the Zoom website. So you have to go to the zoom.us website. So then you need to connect with an email address and schedule a meeting. So I can just copy the ID of the meeting I've created and insert it in the Zoom app in my teacher view in Graasp. So then, when I start a meeting, I can actually be live for the students. Another cool app to put in the sidebar, especially if you want to discuss with students or poll them with multiple choice questions, is the Speak Up app. So let's pick it from the Graasp apps. And if you enter here, you need to create a room. So let's simply give it a name, my first room created. And you're now admin of this room. So you can simply post a message, welcome, enter here. And you can also, with this icon, enter a multiple choice question to poll your students. So let's make a French question. How do you translate pineapple in French? A, ananas, B, pomme de pin. So this is a question with two choices, so I reduce the number of choices to 2, and I want to see immediately the results and make them visible to all students once they vote. I validate it from here, and then you see this multiple choice question appearing in your student view. So note that since the student view is generated by you as a working view, you cannot directly vote here, but your students will. I can emulate this, for instance, by creating a student view in another browser, and here students are able to vote. So let's say they vote for B, they are directly seeing the histograms of answers, which is very practical when you're working with a class. One tip about the SpeakUp app: if you want to check the discussions and polls in your room from your smartphone, you can. Just download the SpeakUp app on your smartphone. My advice is not to enter directly this key here, in which case you will only be a viewer in this room, but to click here and enter in your smartphone the admin key. In this case, you will be able not only to view the discussions, but also to enter new questions. About the sidebar now in the student view, notice that it is visible from all the phases, so students can navigate to another phase and actually still see the sidebar, which is useful, especially when you are video conferencing in this sidebar. To hide the sidebar such that students get more space in their student view, just click here. Likewise, they can also hide the navigation bar by clicking on this icon here. Now let's see an app that allows you to give feedback to students from within a phase. For instance, say we are in the math phase, and you want to give a feedback to students after they've submitted you their Excel graph. So to do this, I will add the following app from Graasp, Feedback. And in the Feedback app, I will see the list of all my students, and I will be able to give them a personalized feedback that only they will see. Only the students that is concerned. And if a particular student wants to request a feedback from you, he can do it from here. A few other apps that can be interesting from the Graasp library are the coding app. This is to code in Python, and also a Sketchfab for 3D augmented reality, for instance in biology or anatomy. Very beautiful. Now let's move to the GoLabs apps. So we'll go to the upper level of my course. If you want to insert a chat app, which is simpler than SpeakUp app in your sidebar, you can just go then to the GoLab Z library and click on the chat. And in my student view, I can see that in the sidebar, I now have a discussion chat. So I can type something and students can answer to each other. And another app which is useful for all teachers is a quiz app. So let's go to the French phase. Note that since the library of GoLab is quite big, you can also select simply an app by typing its name here. So I can type quiz and okay, I can select it. And the quiz app requires a bit of configuration, so we'll have to do it from here. And we'll click here to enter a question. How do you translate to pineapple? Click here. We'll choose from many different types of quizzes. You can have yes, no answer. The one that I like is multiple choice question. So we can now start to edit the answers. We'll choose 3 attempts because we'll put 3 answers. Show the correct answer. And let's start to edit the answer. So let's say deux na. Let's add 1. Deux na 16. And the third one, deux pommes de pain. And you see that with the answers, you can add feedback to help students regulate and find their way towards the right answer. So for instance here I can just say, oops, this is a direct translation. I can also select which one is the right answer. I can go to my student view, refresh, and I should see the quiz appearing at the bottom. How do you translate this? So suppose I tick the wrong answer. Oops, I have directly the feedback from my teacher, and if I take the right answer, I know I got it. Finally, I really encourage you to explore all the apps from GoLab. To do this, just go to the website of the GoLab project. It is golabz.eu. Actually, GoLab is a European project that uses Graasp to create online active learning activities, especially for science. Yet all their library of apps is here, and you will find apps that are useful for all teaching disciplines, like Concept Map app, a Padlet app, or a named frame app, which is the one you saw in the introduction of this video. And if you click on the app, then you can see a description of it and a support video to help you. And of course, if you're a science teacher, you will find apps for chemistry, mathematics, coding, and more.